All right. So now this was supposed to be a group work assignment for in class, but after looking at the chart, try to go through these questions and see if you can get through it. I would recommend pausing here and going through these questions. And if you're stuck, keep playing and listen on. I'm going to go through it. What do you think the area of the circle would be with a radius of 4? So if we're kind of following along here, the area for the first one was 1, the area of the second one was 4 pi, and the area of the third one was 9 pi. So if we're increasing the radius 1 more, the number in front of the pi for all three was the set of perfect squares, 1, 4, 9, and the next perfect square would be 16. So I would guess 16 pi based on what we've seen. All right, the perimeter one might be a little bit easier to see. So it's going up by 2's, right? So the first one was 2 pi, the second one was 4 pi, third one was 6 pi. So the next logical step would be when you increase the radius by 1 more, you'd probably think it's 8 pi, right? What do you think the relation is between the area of the circle and the radius, and what about the perimeter with the radius? So the relation between the area and the radius is it's a square, right? So when the radius is 1, we had 1 pi. When the radius is 2, we had 4 pi, which is 2 squared. When the radius is 3, we had 9 pi, which is 3 squared. For area, it's squared. What about perimeter? So for perimeter, when it was 1, we had 2. When it was 2, we had 4. When we had 3, it was 6. And when we had 4, we're guessing it was 8. So for that one, it looks like it's doubled, right? So with 1, 2, 2, 4, so it's doubled. And finally, the last question is to write a general formula. So how do we write the radius being squared? So we kind of know how to write that. So if we're writing it in terms of r, we're going to have a equals pi r squared. And how do we write the perimeter? The perimeter is just going to be equal to double r times pi. And double r we write as 2 times r times pi. All right, so those are our area and perimeter formulas for the circle. And again, we usually refer to the perimeter of the circle as the circumference. So these are our two formulas here. And you're going to use these formulas to find the area and circumference of different circles. I want you guys to try these first two questions, and then I'll go over it. So pause now, work through the two questions, and we'll go over it. So the area of a circle with radius 5. So if we have a radius is 5, radius is the r, so A is equal to 5 squared times pi. 5 squared is 25, so that's just 25 pi. And that would be equal to like 78 something, but we're just going to leave it in terms of pi, so we have a better understanding of what that number actually represents. The perimeter of a circle with radius 0.5. So 0.5, we're going to plug in for r in the circumference formula, and so that would be c is equal to 2 times 0.5 times pi. 0.5 times 2 is equal to 1, and we're just left with pi. So the circumference of a circle with a radius of a half is going to just be pi. All right, afterwards we worked on this practice worksheet. You can do this on your own time, just based on the formulas. We're going to do some stuff with approximating with a square and looking at how good that approximation actually is when you're doing the math yourself. And then just using the formula inside of these questions. One of the things that you should note while looking at the homework is that you can use the diameter also to find the perimeter. And if you notice something, we know that the diameter of a circle is equal to twice the radius. And we had our circumference formula is equal to 2r times pi. And if you notice, you can substitute the diameter for twice the radius because we have that similar between the two of them here. So you can, another alternate form for the circumference formula is c pi d, where d is the diameter of the circle. So if you're given the diameter of the circle, you can still very easily find the perimeter of the circle. The area, if you're asked to find the area given the diameter, what you're going to have to do is divide the diameter by 2 to get the radius, and then you apply the radius to the area formula. You can also do that with the circumference formula if that makes you more comfortable, or you could just use the diameter formula yourself. I would recommend finding the radius first because you might confuse when you can use the diameter in the formulas, and you can always use the radius in both formulas, but you can only use the diameter in the circumference formula. All right, so this will conclude my video on the lesson for the area and circumference of a circle.